Dear Simon, I'm so glad you have started a confessional service because it allows me to admit something I did which I've never had the courage to confess before. Some 12 years ago, I did an awful thing. You see, being the grand old age of 10, I felt that my bicycle was too small and babyish for me. To give you some idea what this bike was like, it was called a Zippy. Well, I nagged and nagged my parents for a new bike, but to no avail. Their argument was that there was nothing wrong with the one I had, and I could wait a few years before I got a new one. All I could think about was getting a new bike, so I decided to take things into my own hands. I had noticed that behind the local shops, it was very overgrown with weeds and nettles, about knee-high. Every time I was sent to the shops to fetch something from my mother, I would remove something from my bike. I began to dismantle it bit by bit. Each week, a nut or a bolt or a screw would mysteriously disappear until finally one day I arrived home pushing what was left of my bike. I pretended to be most distraught and told my parents that somehow my bike had just simply fallen apart. I must have been convincing because they believed me. Sure enough, my wicked plan worked, and a week later I was presented with a brand new grown-up bike. I'm feeling really awful about this, and I've never admitted what terrible lengths I went to so I would get a new bike. We have since moved, but if anyone ever develops a piece of land behind the shops, they will come across enough bike parts to build a new one. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I hope I can be forgiven. Karen.